New tonight on Our News at 7, peeling away the layers of the FTX onion and looking at who benefited from what. MPs reveal the stakes tonight. And new details of a shooting in the Turks and Caicos Islands that left one Bahamian dead and the other being questioned. The National Security Minister shares details about who may have been responsible for the shooting. Plus, just how much damage a fire on Over Yonder Key left behind. The area MP speaks up. And then in Our News at 7:30, a former F&M cabinet minister says justice will prevail, responding to questions she may be under investigation. Our News live at 7 starts now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thanks for joining us. I'm Candino Knowles. A former cabinet minister is on the defense amid reports suggesting she is being investigated. Former F&M cabinet minister Lanisha Roll saying justice will prevail. Roll speaking with reporters outside Parliament today during a special sitting of Parliament where she was questioned about the allegations and suggestions of impropriety. We will get to her response in a moment, but first, amid concerns over whether any PLP members of Parliament received contributions from FTX, we sought to get answers from the MPs themselves. Our news caught up with a few ahead of this morning's joint sitting of the House. Golden Gates MP Pia Glover-Roll and Garden Hills MP Mario Boleg had this to say.
No, I did not.
Did you receive any contributions at all or gifts in the run-up to the election?
I did not.
Or even after?
After we received a contribution, which was 10 laptops to our community center by FTX.
No, man. But if they had offered me some based on their profit and their success in the past, I might have purchased. But at this time, I did not purchase and I don't have any shares in it.
Did you receive any contributions or gifts at all before the last election or during the run-up? Any contributions?
No.
And the fallout from the collapse of FTX a few weeks back continues after the Securities Commission froze the assets of FTX Digital Markets and appointed joint provisional liquidators back on November 10th. FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy the next day. Well, the drama and silence on the matter, prompting questions from members of the Free National Movement about whether the PLP received any contributions or gifts from the crypto exchange.
No, I didn't have any investments in FTX.
Did you receive any donations or anything?
No, I did not receive any personal donations.
Did you receive any contributions from FTX at all ahead of the recent elections or at all?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
And do you have any investments in the company?
No, I don't have no investment.
I have no further comments on FTX, but I will answer that. I am not invested in FTX, no.
Just so we wanted to know if you had any investments in FTX.
No.
None.
Did you receive any donation, any gifts during the campaign trail or leading up or after?
Zero.
Did they make any, donations or contributions to your constituency or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
No, I didn't have any investments in FTX.
And did you receive any contribution during the campaign or anything?
No, I never received any contributions from FTX during the campaign.
Well, a Bahamian is dead tonight after a police-involved shooting over in the Turks and Caicos Islands. It's been only a month since 20 Bahamian police officers were deployed to TCI to help in the crime fight. The National Security Minister sharing details of that deadly shooting. Megan Shepard picks up the story from here.
One of the Bahamian police officers deployed to the Turks and Caicos Islands now were part of investigations into a police-involved shooting.
Part of the police contingent in the Turks and Caicos Islands was involved in a fatal shooting of a suspect wanted for a number of homicides in the Turks and Caicos. I'm advised that the individual is either a Bahamian citizen or descended from the Bahamas of Brandon Ramming, whose address was Grand Bahama. At one point, I am advised that he was also a resident in New Providence.
Monroe says more details on the circumstances surrounding the shooting would be given at the appropriate time.
I'm not involved in operational investigations with the police. The police do their investigations, and we don't interfere with it. Once they are finished, they send their results to the Director of Public Prosecution's office, and the Director of Public Prosecution's office will give them advice on whether a charge is appropriate, and if so, what charge is appropriate.
While speaking to reporters outside of the House of Assembly, the minister also responded to whether he was aware some 200 Royal Bahamas Defense Force officers were threatening to resign.
Any member of the RBDF can seek my permission to resign. If they do not get my permission to resign and do not show up to work, they'd be considered absent without leave and will probably be imprisoned for that offense against discipline.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
Meanwhile, another Bahamian wanted by local police is deported and now awaiting questioning for murder, firearms and ammunition possession, and dangerous drugs. Police say 36-year-old Bimini resident Juven Eric Strawn, also known as Juvie, was arrested in South Florida on June 9th in a joint effort between the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Bahamian Police. Strawn, arriving in New Providence Tuesday morning, will be transported to Grand Bahama for questioning. And a 47-year-old man is accused of raping a woman he knows at his West Bay Street home. Kevin Carey Cooper was charged with the rape of the 41-year-old woman on November 17th, but when he was in court, he wasn't asked to enter a plea and was denied bail. He returns to court in February for a voluntary bill of indictment. And a fire on a quay off of Abaco this week, leaving millions of dollars in damage. The Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Exuma MP, telling reporters today, while he's anticipating a strong recovery at over Yonder Quay, it's the loss of jobs that is most concerning. Berthany McDermott gets us caught up.
A fire at Over Yonder Quay, leaving the private boutique hotel with up to $10 million in damage, according to Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper. Cooper says the fire started in the engine room.
I understand that the damage is significant, perhaps in the region of 5 to 10 million based on what I am advised.
Cooper says he expects the private resort to bounce back stronger than before. There were no reports of injuries, and Cooper says all of the employees were well, adding that less than 10 guests were on the quay. The private hotel employs around 40 people. Cooper says this will be a significant hit to employment.
I hope that the company would continue ongoing support for those employees in the interim period.
He says Over Yonder Quay has been a model in the Bahamas for renewable energy. Police say shortly before 8 p.m. on Monday, officers were notified of the blaze which reportedly destroyed the engineering building. The quay is located 6 miles north of Staniel Quay, Exuma. The area member of parliament commended residents for their response to the disaster.
I understand that many of the boaters and yachters in the areas came to support in putting out the fire. So generally this is the spirit that we find in Exuma.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
First look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Candina. Very nice and lovely evening outside. Temperatures still back to near what was last evening, 81, but we're looking for those temperatures to continue to fall. Mostly clear skies. The winds out of the south-southeast at 6 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature now hanging out in the upper 70s. Around the islands tonight in the northwest Bahamas, it's 79 in Freeport, 80 across in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. We also pick up 79 in Alistown, Bimini. Great Harbor Key, the Berry Islands, 78. Also in Nicholstown, you have 78 there, 82 in Governor's Harbor. Here in the capital, as he said, we are at 81. Central Bahamas, 80 in Kemps Bay. We pick up 82 in Arthurstown, Cat Island. Georgetown, a little warmer at 86. Cuban Town, San Salvador, 80, 84 in Deadman's Key. And into the southeast Bahamas, temperatures also in the low to mid 80s there, with 85s in Duncantown right there. Ragged Island, Delectable Bay, Acklands. Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, 81, 82 in Abrahams Bay, 82 also in Matthewtown in Nagua. And our very good neighbors to the southeast, Turks and Caicos Islands, who round out a temperature profile at 80. Satellite view, quietly around the islands. That frontal boundary that was hanging out just to the north of the extreme northern Bahamas has shifted towards the north. We saw less clouds across the extreme northern islands. High pressure in the Atlantic is going to be dominating our weather for the next several days. So we're looking at some very lovely conditions and some warmer temperatures over the next couple of days. That's your first check on weather. Stick with us, look at the tropics, and your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, we'll tell you how many visitors are expected in the country this Thanksgiving weekend, spelling good news for tourism. How much does a Thanksgiving meal really cost? Our news takes a closer look tonight. And it's been 60 years since Bahamian women got the right to vote, but some say there's still a long way to go for women's rights. We've got the story when Our News returns. Focusing our attention on some economic news, Standard & Poor's announcing today the country's credit rating is unchanged and the economic outlook is stable. All of this hinging on government executing its fiscal strategy. S&P Global Ratings affirmed its B+ long-term foreign and local currency sovereign credit ratings based on an improving economic situation driven by tourism. In its rating, S&P saying higher government revenues and lower social spending is lowering the deficit and slowing debt. It's a trend S&P expects to continue into the next 2 years. In response, government saying it remains committed to a sustainable path to fiscal consolidation and pointing to its performance in the previous fiscal year. And in case you need some explanation into what this all means, well, a credit rating is used by sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and other investors to gauge a country's credit worthiness. This, in turn, greatly impacts borrowing costs, which are ultimately passed on to taxpayers. And the positive economic outlook looking even brighter with the expected run on bookings this weekend owed to the busy Thanksgiving holiday period. Hotel occupancies and airline seats are booked to capacity as Americans head here in droves for the highly anticipated long weekend. And that's just the kind of good news the tourism minister says the industry needs.
Thanksgiving is normally a very good time for tourism. We expect significant numbers. We have done fairly well in the past during the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. So we expect perhaps 12,000 visitors for the weekend, maybe even more. We'll refine those numbers later on today. But that's typically what a busy weekend will look like.
Tourism Minister Chester Cooper also happy to report that overall arrivals are up for the last quarter of the year.
All of our hotel properties are reporting very high occupancy. So we're excited about this weekend. We're excited about December. We've done exceptionally well even during September, which was a slow month. So we're on track to meet or even exceed the 2019 numbers, which was a record-setting year.
And the countdown is on to the highly anticipated American Thanksgiving Day. And while our North American neighbors celebrate tomorrow, many Bahamians are just as eager, looking forward to the trimmings of the traditional Thanksgiving dinner. For restaurants and home-based chefs, Thanksgiving Day is a busy time with endless requests for traditional meals. Tonight, we hear from Pristina and Lamero Wright, who have been preparing Thanksgiving meals for sale for the past 6 years. Unfortunately, those increasing requests haven't turned into increasing profits. Rising food prices leave little room for profit.
We actually do this out of love because we have a lot of return customers and we do it for them. I love cooking, so it doesn't matter the cost or whatever.
Our Talia Hall has a full report on that Thanksgiving prep in Our News at 7:30. When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as a Walmart employee goes on a shooting spree in a Virginia store. Plus, MPs and senators celebrate 60 years of women's suffrage. And with the rising cost of living, how much does it really cost to fix a Thanksgiving meal? We have the details when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. 6 people are dead and 4 others injured following another mass shooting at a Walmart in Chesapeake, Virginia. The shooter, an unnamed employee, opened fire on his colleagues before turning the gun on himself and taking his own life. Police didn't ID him right away and were unable to give a motive. Police Chief Mark Selesky telling a news conference the scene will take a few days to process, adding they are helping with getting help, that is, from the FBI with the investigation.
The Chesapeake Police SWAT team executed a search warrant at the suspect's residence, and with the help of the Virginia State Police, we cleared the house. We have reason to believe that there's no risk to the public at this time.
A widely circulated video shows protesters at the world's largest iPhone factory in the Chinese city of Zhengzhou. The live stream of protests claiming workers were beaten by police in hazmat suits and riot gear. The unrest is over doubts workers would be paid. Manufacturer Foxconn denying the claim, while also refuting rumors that new recruits were being asked to share dorms with COVID-positive colleagues. UNICEF claims Dominican authorities expelling at least 1,800 unaccompanied Haitian migrant children this year, sending them back to their crisis-stricken country. Those claims have been denied by the Dominican Republic. This comes as government intensifies the crackdown on migration in response to a cholera outbreak and ongoing gang violence in Haiti. The crackdown provoking harsh criticism from international observers, including the United States.
Currently, 85,000 people displaced only in the capital, but we also see continued repatriations and also forced deportations.
Now, the immigration minister telling our news why UN recommendations on Haiti deportation may not happen. Berthany McDermott has a full report coming up at 7:30. The House of Assembly and Senate holding a joint session this morning in recognition of the women's suffrage movement and the 60th anniversary of women having the right to vote. The last time there was a joint sitting was in 2012. Presiding over the special sitting, House Speaker Patricia DeVoe and Senate President Michelle Adderley. These reflections now from both women.
It is with great humility and of notable importance that this joint session is being chaired by two women presiding officers. A first for our country.
We have assembled to pay exclusive tribute to women in a way we have neglected to pay it heretofore. Indeed, it is long overdue. We have come together to celebrate and commemorate the achievement and contributions of women in the various stages and aspects of our national journey.
On February 23, 1961, the House of Assembly enacted the law to give women the right to vote and sit in the legislature starting June 30, 1962. In the gallery today were women who made their mark in Bahamian politics over the last 6 decades. Moving the resolution that paved the way for today's special sitting was the country's longest-serving female parliamentarian, Glenys Hannah Martin.
Today, we remember with a heart full of gratitude Dame Doris Johnson and all of the indomitable leaders of the suffragette movement, including Mary Ingram, Georgiana Simonet, Eugenia Lockhart, Bertha Isaacs, Althea Hyler, Althea Mortimer, Mabel Walker, and the many thousands of women who joined the movement and were unrelenting, and who showed up in full force on Election Day, 60 years on the 26th of this month. And as women have in every general election and by-election and local government election ever
Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was November 23rd, the anniversary of the publication of the first edition of the Nassau Guardian. Plus, Greg is back with your extended weather forecast. And then in our news at 7:30, how one couple is sharing their love of food through special Thanksgiving meals. Stay with us. Welcome back to Our News. It's time now to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was November 23rd. Take a look. On November November 23, 1844, the first edition of the Nassau Guardian was published. The first issue was very small, measuring 10 inches, containing 2 columns, and consisted of 8 pages. The newspaper was founded by Edwin Charles Moseley, a journalist from London, England, who previously worked at the Times. Today, the newspaper has an expanded radio and digital offering and was partnered with Cable Bahamas for the development of the former NB12 and Our News. The newspaper is located on Carter Street in New Providence. Also on this day in 1964, Olympic medalist Frank Rutherford Jr. was born in Nassau. Rutherford is a retired multi-medal winning triple jumper, winning the Bahamas' first Olympic gold medal in a track and field event, the 3rd medal overall at the Summer Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain in 1992. After retiring, Rutherford became a trainer, coach, and philanthropist and started the Frank Rutherford Foundation, a Houston, Texas-based program to assist young Bahamian sports people in gaining academic qualifications. In 2010, he co-founded ZSR 103.5 FM radio. And speaking of the Olympics, the release of plans for launch of the modern games happened on this day in 1892 by Pierre de Coubertin at the annual general meeting of the Union of French Athletic Sports Societies. Then in 1897, the portable pencil sharpener was patented by American inventor John Lee Love. In 1909, the Wright brothers formed a $1 million corporation to manufacture airplanes. 1963 saw John F. Kennedy's body lie in repose in the East Room of the White House. He was the 35th U.S. president who was assassinated days before. 1992 saw 10 million cellular telephones sold. The IBM Simon was the first of its kind and was the 1992 version of today's iPhone. It was touchscreen, portable, had a calculator, email, and could work on networks. 2014, Republicans condemned U.S. President Barack Obama's use of executive powers to force through immigration reform. And finally, on this day in 2020, AstraZeneca became the 3rd drug maker to report an effective vaccine for COVID-19, 62% or 90% effective, depending on how it was given. It was easy to make and distribute. Well, we are hours away from Thanksgiving Day, which means Christmas is right around the corner, but is there any unspoken rule about when we can and should play Christmas music? Our Jamila Mizik takes a look.
It's beginning to sound a lot like Christmas, or is it? I went out today in search of answers. When is the appropriate time to start listening to the music to get you into the holiday spirit?
Right now, right today. I thought about to start it from last week.
I started November 1st. I used to start November 15th.
However, these radio personalities are singing a different tune.
Don't start until the week of. I don't need to hear Mariah Carey for the whole month of December. Y'all is want to start this foolishness the 2nd week in November. Y'all done started this week. I say started when Santa Claus died for our sins the week of. Let's do that. Y'all is defrost Mariah Carey from November and then just be all her stuff for like 2 months. Like, let Thanksgiving breathe, let some other stuff breathe, whatever.
In my house, November 1st. Publicly, I think once we pass Thanksgiving. I think everything after Thanksgiving is fair game. Honestly, I'd like to start right after Halloween.
Program director at More 94 FM Luval, Big L Bain, says he aims to start his Christmas playlist the morning of December 1st.
Every year, at 8 o'clock, I play my very first Christmas song, and after that, it's Happy Holidays straight through.
And what about song requests?
Most of the songs are the same, it's just different artists singing their covers of it. So they have their particular favorites.
As for when is the right time to stop playing the music?
Stop playing it after New Year's.
January 5th, because the Feast of the Epiphany is January 6th.
He died on 25th, 26th. Let's get back to Voodoo. That's how I feel, personally. And I love Christmas.
Right after Christmas. Like, by the 1st, it should be done.
Considering you'll have the Christmas, the Boxing Day, the New Year's, and then majority rule so close together, after that, the Happy Holidays are done.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
Thanks, Jamila, and I'm sure the debate on that will continue even after the holidays. To watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That does it for us. The News at 7 joining us now is our Talia Hall.
Well, Ken, I will say for me, my music starts right after Thanksgiving.
I hope you didn't ask me that.
But we
I
have
hope you
lots
didn't ask about it, but yeah.
We have lots more to get to tonight, including comments from a former MP who may now be the subject of an investigation.
New tonight at 7:30, a former F&M cabinet minister says the truth will be revealed amid rumors she is under police investigation. A Bahamian shot and killed in the Turks and Caicos Islands. National security officials say it was a Bahamian police-involved shooting. And senators and MPs celebrate 60 years of women's suffrage while recognizing there's still a long way to go for women's rights and protection against marital rape. Plus, a special needs school is looking to expand and help more students. We'll tell you how you can help. Our news live at 7:30 starts in a moment.
Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. A former F&M cabinet minister is defending her record amid media reports that she's being actively investigated. Speaking to reporters outside Parliament today, former top-ranking cabinet minister Lanisha Roll says justice will prevail. Berthany McDermott gets us started.
I certainly believe that in due time the truth will be exposed.
Amid media reports of an investigation into former Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Lanisha Roll, sources tell our news Roll is not being investigated. However, it was revealed that a number of investigations are ongoing. As talks swirl, the former F&M cabinet minister is speaking out, telling reporters outside Parliament that she hasn't been contacted by police.
I did not hear that another audit or any further investigation was going on.
The former Seabreeze MP resigned from a cabinet-appointed post back in February 2021, but gave little detail as to why she chose to step down. The resignation followed a lockdown of the ministry by then Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis amid an ongoing investigation at the National Sports Authority. Roll says, as far as she's aware, proper procedure was followed during her time as minister.
The minister does not know everything in a ministry at any given time. And so to the best of my knowledge, everything as it relates to me, there were protocols, there were persons in place that should have followed protocols, and I believe that they did, and where they did not, whatever investigations or inquiries will reveal whatever process was or was not followed.
2 years after her resignation, we asked her if she feels the recent reports were politically motivated.
I don't want to be judgmental. Like I said, I was a former police officer, and so if in fact there is any information received, the proper process is to investigate, to inquire, and ensure that justice prevails.
Now, the former Youth, Sports and Culture Minister says she stands by her record and is trusting in the police force to conduct this investigation. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. And as parliamentarians recognize women's rights during a special sitting, Senate President Lachelle Adderley using the opportunity to address marital rape. During an impassioned speech erupting in applause from parliamentarians, the Senate President insisted women must have equal rights, even in the bedroom.
Our long walk to freedom has not yet ended when the marital bed becomes a violent mattress. Rape is rape, notwithstanding the context.
Now, the marital rape issue has been at the forefront of national discussion in recent months, and this is not the first time the Senate President has spoken out. Last December, she gave a passionate address to senators denouncing marital rape and challenging legislators to act immediately to protect victims of domestic violence and put an end to gender-based violence. Today, she brought that same passion to the floor of the House of Assembly.
Our long walk to freedom is not yet ended when women are indiscriminately victims of gender-based violence and there is no domestic violence legislation for their protection. Freedom, justice, and equality demands a gender-based violence act now.
Well, one of the Bahamian police officers deployed to the Turks and Caicos Islands a month ago, now part of investigations into a police-involved shooting. The Minister of National Security, Wayne Monroe, says the victim is believed to be of Bahamian descent.
part of the police contingent in the Turks and Caicos Islands was involved in a fatal shooting of a suspect wanted for a number of homicides in the Turks and Caicos. I'm advised that the individual is either a Bahamian citizen or descended from the Bahamas, of Brandon Ramming, whose address was Grand Bahama. At one point, I am advised that he was also a resident in New Providence.
Minister Monroe admits he's still awaiting more details.
I'm not involved in operational investigations with the police. The police do their investigations, and we don't interfere with it. Once they are finished, they send their results to the Director of Public Prosecution's office, and the Director of Public Prosecution's office will give them advice on whether a charge is appropriate, and if so, what charge is appropriate.
A man whose dogs bit a child and a policeman at separate beaches has pleaded guilty in court. Lyndon Elden's German Shepherd jumped out of his vehicle on October 22nd and bit an 8-year-old boy who was walking across the parking lot at Saunders Beach. A month later, a group of concerned tourists alerted police after they saw 2 German Shepherds roaming Junkanoo Beach unattended. The dogs, which belonged to Eldon, bit Reserve Inspector Carlton McPhee when he went to investigate. The dogs were seized and Eldon was arrested. He pleaded guilty to allowing dangerous dogs to roam in a public place, failing to keep dangerous dogs under control, and permitting a ferocious dog to be at large. Senior Magistrate Carolyn Vo Evans ordered Eldon to pay restitution of $250 to each bite victim to avoid spending 1 month in custody. She ordered the return of the impounded dogs to Eldon on the condition that he keeps them confined to his property. Eldon was ordered to have his dogs properly trained. If he breaches his order, the dogs will be seized and he will be fined $200 to avoid spending 4 months in prison. Now Eldon was also fined $50 or 7 days in prison. Police need your help finding 2 men they believe are responsible for an armed robbery in Abaco. Police say the incident unfolded just before 9 p.m. as 2 masked men, one of whom was armed with an assault rifle, robbed a business of cash before getting away in a silver vehicle on George Aubrey Highway. The suspects are still on the loose. Well, hot and humid conditions outside the Our News studio this evening. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is over in the Weather Center live with a look at our current conditions. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Dahlia, and good evening, everybody. I really wouldn't call it hot, but yeah, it's a little on the warm side. 79 degrees right now outside our studios under mostly clear skies, and with that clearing of the skies, those temperatures will fall into the low 70s, probably even some upper 60s. South-southeast winds at 5 miles per hour and your feels-like temperature at 79 degrees. Satellite view, nothing much to talk about across the Bahamas. That frontal boundary that was persistent across the area has now lifted towards the north. It's well north of the Bahamas. It will continue to drift towards the north. Rigidified pressure of the Atlantic extending across us will dominate our weather over the next couple of days. So we're looking at some very nice conditions, although yeah, it may be hot for a little while. That's your first check on weather. Stick with us, a look at the tropics, and your forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, why the immigration minister says it's not possible to start repatriations to Haiti despite a United Nations recommendation. And the blue economy gets an injection with the signing of a new agreement. We'll tell you what it means for businesses in that sector and how one couple is making Thanksgiving meals and sharing their love of food. That's all coming up when Our News returns. A recent United Nations report suggests the Bahamas hold off on deporting Haitians found here illegally, but the immigration minister is saying that's just not possible. Bertha McDermott explains.
The government has no intentions of halting deportation of Haitian migrants. That's according to Immigration Minister Keith Bell. His comments come as a report from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees urges countries to suspend the forced return of Haitians to their country.
It's practically impossible for us to absorb these people into our society. And so what we have been doing is there is a legal way if you want to enter the Bahamas that we want everybody to adhere to those principles and policies and laws.
The report dated November 3rd, 2022 notes that violence, kidnapping, looting and roadblocks by armed gangs and the recent cholera outbreak has exacerbated an already dramatic humanitarian situation there. Bell says today just over 100 migrants were repatriated to Haiti, in addition to 64 who returned to Cuba and Haiti on Tuesday. The immigration minister says the plan is to continue the repatriations.
If you wish to enter the Bahamas, then you want to apply the right way. If you are undocumented, then there is a process. We will ensure that there is due process. We will ensure that you are treated fairly but firmly.
The report also urges countries to stop the forcible return of Haitian nationals who have had their asylum claims rejected prior to recent events. We also asked the immigration minister about Haitian nationals seeking refugee status in the Bahamas.
There is a process, and what we do is whenever we screen persons, you would take note that persons are for refugee status, and particularly you have economic irregular migrants, where those persons, once we have done their proper assessment and evaluation, a recommendation is made through the Director of Immigration. It comes up to myself as the Minister of Immigration, and the Cabinet is involved.
Bell making it clear Haitians entering the Bahamas are not refugees but economic migrants. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
A memorandum of understanding signed between the Access Accelerated Small Business Development Center and the Nature Conservancy this morning, cementing their agreement to create the new Blue Economy Accelerator program. The goal is to help generate reef-positive businesses that protect and restore natural resources and strengthen local economies.
The program will focus on the increasing knowledge, data, and awareness of business opportunities of the blue economy sector, strengthening the capacity of the SBDC and relevant ecosystem partners to advise and provide entrepreneurship and innovation training for the development of blue economy-focused business models, and providing technical assistance and advisory support services to MSMEs in the Bahamas.
Now, the SBDC receives $400,000 funding from the Nature Conservancy's partnership with the Global Fund for the Coral Reefs Program Impact Funding for Bahama Reefs. The Nature Conservancy will also serve as technical support and provide assistance with science-based metrics.
We designed this project not only to focus on direct conservation work, but to ensure that there is a more equitable approach to our work in getting funds down on the ground to local communities, to people who need it most.
When Our News comes back from the break, Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and one couple has made their love of food into an annual tradition.
Plus, coming up in sports for tonight, the Pink Flamingo Championships continuing here at Bahamas as Coach Joe tries to lead his team to another win. We'll tell you about that and so much more coming up in sports tonight.
And how you can help a special needs school looking to expand. That story and more on the other side of this break.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Thanksgiving is a U.S. holiday that many Bahamians have adopted. Each year, we line up for Thanksgiving meals from restaurants or home chef businesses. Today, I got inside the look of a kitchen of a husband and wife team preparing over 80 meals. Pristino and Lamero are now in their 6th year of doing this.
It's a lot of preparation. You know, we sit down and we
evaluate how much we're going to spend, what we're going to serve, and where to purchase the products.
Lamero Wright says the cost of ingredients to prepare Thanksgiving meals have gone up by hundreds of dollars.
We managed to get most stuff while they were on sale and stuff like that. But coming down to the time, we, they little knickknacks like the vegetables and stuff, we get them during the week of Thanksgiving.
His wife, Pristina, says sometimes they don't even make a profit.
We actually do this out of love because we have a lot of return customers and we do it for them. I love cooking, so it doesn't matter the cost or whatever.
And with only a few hours left until the big day, the duo was busy in the kitchen.
Right now, we are prepping up for with the ham and stuff. We're prepping up everything and seasoning and everything. With the fish, we're going to be seasoning that in a minute or two. I already have my turkey inside the fridge.
He normally be on the fryer, and I normally be the one to take up and throw things down, but he's behind the scenes.
All right, the countdown is on, and I cannot wait for Thanksgiving food. Well, employees of a popular gaming house, Island Lux, sharing over 2,000 hot meals in this over-the-hill community just ahead of Thanksgiving Day. The recipients say they are grateful for Island Lux support in these challenging times.
I feel like that's a blessing to the people.
Because of the corona stuff that slowed down things, now we're trying to get back up on top, so everything gonna be cool, and that's just one day at a time.
It was so hard, but the most important thing is that we appreciate it. I say, man, I ain't gonna need them. I gotta make sure we eat.
Island Lux head of brand retention and events, Questwell Ferguson, says the initiative is a continuation of their commitment to giving back.
The value that the community gives us, we have to give back, right? So it's just our corporate social responsibility and duty, and we want to make sure that we are a lead in that area. We don't want to follow. We want to make sure that every time we have events like this, we do it on a grand scale. So every time we make sure we get at least 2,000 plates minimum, and we also have a partnership with Hands for Hunger. So anything left over, food or beverage, we make sure to tap into their network to make sure that every plate, every beverage that we purchase goes to someone in need.
All right, college basketball action continuing at Bahamas. Meanwhile, the government school playoffs continue in softball and baseball. Here's a check on sports with Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall here at the Bahamas Convention Center. It's been a busy week as college basketball has come here full circle. Ladies tournament going on right now, Pink Flamingo Championships featuring Ole Miss Rebels, which is coached by our Bahamian Yolette McPhee-McEwen. Action continuing today. Let's take a look. Final day of action at the Bahama Hoops Pink Flamingo Championships at Bahama Resort. First game of the day, Wake Forest taking on Alabama. This one turns out to be a pretty good one, going right down to the wire. Final buzzer shot in favor of Alabama. They get the win here, 61-58, to finish their record at the tournament 1-1. Lots of action still to continue today, including the Bahamas' very own Yolette McPhee-McEwen as she coaches the Ole Miss Lady Rebs. And they will play tonight in the final game of the tournament, and a pretty good game when they take on the Utah Utes. Meanwhile, yesterday, action continuing in playoff softball and baseball, GSSA, over at the Blue Hills playing fields. Junior boys saw AF Valley beat CH Reeves 5-1. On the senior girls side, Doris Johnson High School, they got the 10-1 win over CC Sweeting. C.L. Walker also won over CB Bethel 1-0. Senior boys, R.M. Bailey, 3-2 over CB Bethel. C.L. Walker topping CC Sweeting 7-0. Got some other news coming in. This time from the University of the Bahamas. University of the Bahamas men's basketball team dropped both games this weekend against Atlanta's University in South Florida. Despite some defensive spurts, the Mingos lost to the Atlanteans 110-60 on Friday, and then they came back on Saturday to lose 89-40. And this was only the second game for the very young team that came in with only one full game before the tour. Head coach Backus Roll says he's going to trust the process of developing the team.
Ran into a well-conditioned team that fights for everything they get. We are, of course, a bit inexperienced on a young team, and as a result of that, he played differently. He may play a bit timid, but in the second game, we truly, in my opinion, came out with more intensity. We came out to win. For me, I trust the process over the results, and ultimately, if we continue along this line, we will get better.
And that's your check on sports here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
Still ahead on our news tonight, a special needs school needs your help to reach more students. Our Marlena Leonard tells you how you can pitch in. And partly sunny skies through the remainder of the week. Greg is back with your extended weather forecast right after this break. Welcome back to our news. Looks like we will still have some warm temperatures heading into Thanksgiving and the busy holiday season. Greg is back with your extended weather outlook. Good evening again, Greg.
Yeah, somebody was mentioning turkey.
Yes,
some ham,
can't
some
wait.
Stuffing. Okay.
Can't wait.
I'm going to stop by and get mine tomorrow. Yeah, thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody. Yeah, Thanksgiving looking to be very nice across the islands. The high-pressure ridge out of the Atlantic will continue to stretch across us. We have a frontal boundary that's still to the north of the area. A lot of the moisture, but that is being transported towards the east and away from us. We do see one or two more fronts that will likely approach the northern Bahamas. Will not get here, but that high-pressure system will continue to warm us up over the next couple of days. So we're looking at some very nice warm temperatures and some lovely conditions. We are winding down the Atlantic hurricane season. We have, a little over a week and a couple of days left in the official Atlantic season. Nothing happening out there. It's quiet. And that ridge of high pressure, if anything does develop, it's going to continue to move everything towards the west and south of us. But yeah, tropical storm formation is not expected during the next 5 days. Forecast over the next 24 to 48 hours. Quiet across areas, some spotty showers, but that moisture with that frontal boundary will move away. Dry conditions will be with us for the next several days, and we're looking at hot temperatures by the end of the week. Boating forecast, that's also going to be conducive for you out there. Your winds are going to be light and variable tonight, but become northeast to east, at 10 to 15 knots across the northwest and central Bahamas. But we still have a caution flag for you guys for the rip currents. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Your high tide was at 7:03 tonight for the southeast Bahamas. Caution flag for you down there as well. Easterly winds 15 knots. Seas running 3 to 5 feet over the open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, Thanksgiving tomorrow, yeah, beautiful sunny conditions, just a spotty shower or two likely, but those temperatures will be warming back up for us throughout the end of the week. And of course, next week looks to be beautiful as well. That's a look at our weather. Back to you, Italia.
Thanks so much, Greg. I'm disappointed a bit because I was looking forward to some cool temperatures, but...
Not going to promise you that. The cold fronts are going to be coming, though.
Okay, thanks again, Greg. Well, the children of the Bahamas Association for the Physically Disabled needs your help. In this report, Marlena Leonard shares what we all can do.
For years, the Bahamas Association for the Physically Disabled has run a school for children with special needs, providing daycare, meals, education, and physical therapy free of charge to parents of special needs children. But not everyone has access to that opportunity. President of the Bahamas Association for the Physically Disabled, Charlotte Aubrey, tells us their limitations.
We're pleading with government to grant us the property in the back so we can do another addition to what we have now.
The BAPD School for Children with Special Needs is assisted with staffing by the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Social Services. Currently, the school has 22 students, but Aubrey says they know there are others they could be helping.
So many kids that are in need, and we need to expand what we have. There are 10 children that are on a waiting list, but we can't do anything for them because we don't have the staff, we don't have the facility.
Aubrey estimates that the BAPD would need at least $500,000 to build the extension if the land is granted. In the meantime, Administrator Linda Smith wants you to know what you can do to help. For now, they say donations are the most pressing need for the school, saying no donation is too big or too small. And that's not the only way you can make a difference. You can also volunteer your time with the children.
You can come, you can sing, you can read, you can play with the children, you can assist with feeding, you can assist with carrying any aspect in the classroom. You can just come on down to us and you can say to us you would like to volunteer, and maybe you might have something else that you can offer us, and anything will do.
November is National Volunteer Month, and if you're interested in donating either money or time to the BAPD, you can visit their website at bapd242.com or call 328-1020 to find out how you can donate. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks for that report, Marlena. To watch any of the stories you saw tonight, remember, you can head on over to ournews.bs. And with that, we thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.